Welcome to BuildWise, the podcast where construction meets wisdom. Join us as we explore the ins and outs of the construction industry. We're going to share insightful tips, dive into the latest trends. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just getting started in the journey of construction, BuildWise is going to be your go-to source for valuable insights. Let's build a smarter, wiser future together. Like and subscribe now, and stay tuned for a foundation of knowledge in every episode. Thank you.
For the intro, Dad.
Did you like that?
Yeah, it was good.
Goofball.
Look, my shirt's happy to see you.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So we got to just kind of update the audience on who you are and why you're so knowledgeable in this industry. So why don't you start out by telling us just a little bit about yourself and some of your experience in the construction industry.
Okay. Well, Dan O'Neill, I've been doing this for 42 years. I got started young, 18, and I've been doing it pretty much my whole life. And I wanted to get out of it at one time. You know, I tried doing insurance, tried doing police work, tried doing all this different stuff. And I kind of thought, well, if I put as much energy into doing a good job at this, because I was good at it, you know, maybe I can make something of it. Mm-hmm. And so once I took that different mentality and I started putting my all into the business and into learning the business and learning the ins and outs, that's when it started going somewhere.
Yeah.
And then started doing bigger and better jobs. You know, got asked to supervise different projects because they, you know, had the faith in that I could do it. And then got up into, you know, upwards $27-30 million projects, and then, you know, in my opinion, pulled off some pretty big feats and did well. So,
yeah, and one of the biggest feats was a project in San Diego, right?
Yeah, I did a really big project. It was a clubhouse. It had 2 meandering pools. It had a lap pool. We built a brand new pump house, clubhouse, fitness center.
Yeah.
And then all brand new hardscape, landscape, you know, green belts out front and all this different stuff. And the clubhouse it was insane. It was beautiful, but it was old. And so we had a lot of upgrades for fire and just all kinds of stuff to do. I think the clubhouse had, 38 televisions or something in it. And we had lighting galore that all had to be in the right spot and all symmetrical. It was on a big old tall A-frame building.
Yeah.
So we laid all that out on the floor with lasers that shined up.
Well, cool. And I think you said you started that, or the project started with like 5 people and you turned it around pretty quickly, right?
Yeah, I was new to the company and went there, and we had 5 superintendents, and we had 5 people working on the project. And it was pretty, wasn't good for a big project like that.
Right.
And so, and what we found out was there was a lot of holdups with RFIs, either poorly written RFIs or not complete in their entirety. And just for everybody's information, RFIs, request for information for, you know, getting information out of architect or engineer or somebody that you need to get information out of. But yeah, so I rewrote a bunch of those, started getting some answers, and wrote about 84 more in the next 2 weeks. By the time the job was done, we had 360 RFIs on that job.
Wow. Okay.
And then we finally got it to where we had, I'd say in a couple weeks, I think we had 35, 40 people, and then we had 80, and then I think our highest amount was 121 or 122 people on the job. And then it stayed pretty much consistent that way to the end. And so that job was given to me about 6 weeks behind schedule, and we were in bad light with the ownership, and by the time we finished, I finished it a couple of days early, and we actually even turned the budget around and turned the client's image of us around. So
wow, that's pretty impressive. And I know you've also shared with me about how you would turn McDonald's, you'd go dirt to burgers in, did you say 9 weeks?
Yeah. Yeah, we got pretty good at it. That was our thing. There probably isn't a McDonald's in Southern California I haven't built or touched.
Wow.
And that was our thing for a long time. And we got so good at it, we could do it in 9 weeks.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
I
I
don't,
don't
I
know if
don't,
you can do that anymore, right?
I don't think you can do that today. It's not. There's just so many encumbrances from one, the trades aren't like they used to be, and the jurisdictions are not like they used to be. And so, yeah, it's not quite possible. I mean, I guess you could do it. It just it's I don't know. It'd be hard.
Yeah.
And then we used to build McDonald's chevrons, and I think the fastest one was 72 days.
Did you say a McDonald's chevron?
Yeah, it's a co-brand,
Oh,
and they
never
were
even
for
heard of it.
well, and you've probably seen them. They're in Southern California. It's you go in and you got half the store is a Chevron and half the store is a McDonald's.
Oh, it's like how Quiznos and
Yeah,
I think it was a chevron as well, right?
yeah.
Okay, okay. I have seen those. So what's because you've done commercial, residential, civil work, you've done it all. What's your bread and butter? What's your favorite area of construction to work in?
I like all area. I mean, I like construction. I mean, or I wouldn't be in it for so long. And then I really do like the challenging projects where people say it's impossible. If I know I've got the right team, or the ability to shape the right team. And so that's how we conquered some of those challenges on that last project I was talking to you about, and
Yeah.
in San Diego and whatnot. But they gave me full reign to turn that thing around, and we did. But it takes a certain understanding from everybody to be able to do that, and it takes great buy-in from everyone. So I had to have meetings with subcontractors and all these people in order to pull something like that together. So I love a challenging project on things that people say can't be done,
Yeah.
or maybe they're in a pickle from a previous supervisor or something, and then I like those. Construction's got its own pros and cons. Commercial construction has its own pros and cons, and residential has its own pros and cons.
Yeah.
And then, when I did the big commercial work, we like the Temecula project, the big plaza there. I worked with the Caltrans department for the big on-ramp because it tied right into our facility and our lane widening on Temecula Parkway.
Right.
So I got to work with like all these other entities, state and federal government agencies, all the way to the point where I'm doing work at the Idaho National Labs, and that's challenge in and of itself, just because it's got a whole different set of rules, and they're not here, they're up here, and so yeah.
Speaking of a different set of rules, don't historical projects have a whole different set of rules as well? And those are quite challenging, right? You've done some of those?
Yeah, we've done stuff in historical renovation areas. We've done this house in L.A. a long time ago, and it was on a 2-brick footing. Had no footings, had no anchor bolts, had no nothing. Survived every major earthquake that there was, but got burned down because someone fell asleep with a cigarette.
No, I didn't know that.
It was so old it had square nails.
I didn't even know that those existed.
Yeah, they don't make them anymore. But
Buddy.
but it had to go back the same way that it was. But then we also had to beef up the foundation, but not touch the foundation.
Oh, I'm remembering this story a little bit.
Yeah,
you had to get around that somehow.
Yeah, and so we built this footing offset, and we had custom brackets made that went up and tied to the house, leaving everything below that intact.
Man, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Well, cool. So right now you have O'Neill Construction, and we got lots of stuff going on with O'Neill Construction, and that's all exciting stuff. do you, I know that we have big visions and big goals for this company. Um, what area, or I guess which direction are you really wanting to take O'Neill Construction? More commercial, more residential, or keep it kind of both?
I want to keep it both. I would like our residential construction to turn into primarily either ultra custom homes or just keep it with our spec homes. When you're doing spec homes and commercial projects, and even when I say commercial projects, like apartment complexes like 48 units or 96 units or whatever, those all get ran more commercially, like they're more of a commercial kind of setting, and so things are a little more cut and dry.
Right.
So it's better, but when you get into the residential stuff, the ultra custom, there's a lot more interaction with the client, a lot more emotion goes into it.
Yep.
Ultra custom, they usually have the funds to be able to afford to deal with that, where kind of the middle custom stuff, they don't. And so it's a lot of work for if you don't get the payoff. And so it's really hard if they don't have the funds.
Yeah. Well, I know some of the topics that we will eventually be discussing are, people that are interested in building their own home or having it built. Just going through the steps with that. We have an ebook that's going to be coming and dropping alongside with all of that information. But just so much knowledge that I know that you can share with everybody. So another thing I wanted to ask you was about, we have successes and failures throughout life, but failures often teach us so much. And so what are some of the biggest and best lessons you've learned from failures?
Oh boy.
There's always a benefit to that.
Usually most of the things that I talk about at one point in time, I probably did, and like kicked myself and said, never do that again.
Yeah.
And so, and just things that you learn through the process, like you can do it. That's how, when we did those McDonald's Dirt to Burgers in 9 weeks, we literally took all our successes and failures and we did a post assessment on every project. And so at the end of the project, we got with all the subs, all the main guys, for all the subcontractors, and we reutilized a lot of the same subs so that they got very used to our demands and what we're expecting and all this stuff. And so when we would do that post assessment, it would literally be, how could we do this part better? We had this many RFIs. Let's get those RFIs implemented onto the plan so we never have to ask them again, like all these things. And then it ended up where we literally had an hour by hour schedule.
Yeah.
And so it was extremely beneficial. So, yeah, you learn a lot by your mistakes as well as your successes. And so only time a mistake doesn't work out for you is if you don't take it and slice it apart and figure out what happened and caused it, and then just never do it again.
Yeah. Well, you're supposed to let your failures be your biggest tutor and teach you along the way.
Yeah. And they have. And, you can't go through 42 years. And not just our mistakes. I watch videos, I hear stories, stupid ones, like some are just, wow, that I could see how that could happen, but what could you possibly have done to prevent it? A lot of safety mistakes. There's a lot of construction mistakes. And that's really essence of this podcast, is to really highlight all the really good stuff, slice and dissect apart the bad stuff. There's a lot of, I guess you'd call it ignorance in the industry. There's a lot of people that swing a hammer or do something and they think they know how to be a good contractor, good at construction. But there's a whole big part of this on how to read plans, know where to find stuff in the plans, submittals, RFIs, specs,
Yeah.
and to be a complete good contractor, combining all that and combining it at the right time. Timing's everything. I noticed that a lot of people in this industry, when I took over those projects and whatnot, they are usually very reactionary. And the idea is to get the project on a roll, you drop back and start looking at stuff for the next phase and making
Right.
sure that you clear the path ahead of them. And so that's what we're going to try and do in this. And I'm going to discuss, in this podcast stuff, I want to discuss, supervision, how to read plans, where to find stuff, how to look stuff up. If you run into a problem, what are the channels to go through and do it? If we follow true construction protocols, if we follow them like they're written out,
Right.
as a contractor, you will almost always be on top and come out right. And you'll always be protecting the project and the client at the same time. And if that is what is good for the project, and if you think about what is good for the project, it's usually good for the contractor and it's also good for the client. So you got the project is kind of the main goal and everything that goes along with it.
Right. All right. Well, I think that's such a great little snippet of who you are, and just like a very condensed short amount of time to show everybody some of your experience, and that you do have a lot of knowledge to share. And I know that we're going to be getting into even topics like different types of contracts and liens and how to deal with those, and subcontractors, and the list goes on and on. So I really hope that everybody subscribes and checks us out and give us that follow, because we do have a world of information to share about the industry, about construction, the different types of construction, commercial, residential, civil, all of it. And we're excited to be here and to be able to share all of this with you guys.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to dive into all that and more, and we're going to interview people. We're going to try and get as many experts on the phone as we can on screen here, and interview them also, get more information, and a different take on the information. It's not all just coming from me. The stuff I'm talking about is stuff I've learned from all those kind of people, working with engineers, working with geotechs, and all the different entities that are out there, and each one's got an interesting facet to their side of the things that they need and what's expected out of the contractor and out of the project. And it'll be we're going to shed a lot of light on that stuff. So
yeah. All right. Well, I'm excited.
Me too. So anyways, that's just a little bit about me and what I'm going to try and bring to the table for this podcast. If you like it, like and subscribe and share it, and then we will be building these up and put more out. Also, in the comments, if there's a subject matter that's really interesting to you, put that in there, and we will work on trying to get that out there to you guys too. Thank you, and have a great day.